Hot Mic with Lady She podcast. I am your host, Lady She. Tonight is special. Every night is special, but tonight is definitely special. Everybody who follows me, I know you guys know I am a music lover. And on tonight, I have a special guest who is the epitome of music, okay? But first, let's get the formalities out of the way. Make sure you subscribe to Hot Mic with Lady She podcast on YouTube. Make sure you are following me on Instagram, Hot Mic Lady She _podcast. Make sure you are also following my t-shirt company, which is She's Got Tees. Tonight's t-shirt is God's Girl Green Tea. I got my browns going on tonight. So make sure you follow that. She's Got Tees, one word, on Instagram, and also she'sgottees.com, the website. Tonight I also want to introduce to some my new candle line. And remembrance of my mom, Sharon, who passed away. This is the smaller one. This is the 10 ounce. And then we have the 16 ounce as well. I am super excited. Make sure you guys follow that page as well, which is Sharon's Heart Stationery on Instagram, one word. Sorry about that. And I also have the journal line that we began in remembrance of my mom as well. So you can get all these things at Sharon's Heart Stationery, one word. And of course, my book, which is about my amazing son, God Over Puzzle Pieces, which you can find on Amazon and or email me at she'sgottees@gmail.com. Mr. Teddie FX Rollins.
Yes.
Welcome,
yes.
sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I am in awe.
You and
I am in awe of you.
Right.
I am in awe of what God has done, what God is still doing, and
Yes.
I'm excited to allow the people to hear your voice about your journey.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so do you want to introduce yourself in a special way, or my introduction was okay?
No, it's great.
All right, awesome. Let's jump in, people. All right, so first let me do this because I got to laugh. So this guy's bio is kind of like a CVS receipt. You know, it kind of keeps going. Yeah, it kind of keeps going. So
It does?
I'm just going to read it.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Yeah, I'm just going to read it because ain't no point in me trying to be like, so what did you do? I'm going to do that to you to death. So let me just read a portion. Because I definitely want to know where the name of the production came from as well. Okay?
Yeah.
But I'm going to read a short portion of it. So it says, Teddie FX featuring some amazing singers and musicians. The message of the song is already having people talk and wanting to hear more. Key and Case provides optimum quality in every project, offering services in production, songwriting, publishing, live entertainment, film scoring, video game soundtracks, video editing, jingle writing, audio vision, and sound technician for live and studio projects and image consulting. You know, in the poetry world, we do all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the last part I'm going to read until I get to my questions. I gotta read this part. Professional accomplishments, album credits, Hezekiah Walker, live in London. Keys, Hezekiah Walker, Family Affair. Musical director, Hezekiah Walker, live at Radio City. Keys, and Radio City, Keys. Hezekiah Walker, Wow 1998, Wow 1999, and Wow 2001. I was big on the wows.
Yeah.
You had to be there, okay? I know the different generations going, but y'all who know, if you know, you know, okay? Okay, so we have Keys, Bishop, Kelsey, and New Samaritan Mass Choir.
Yeah.
We doing the fingers again, okay? Music consultant, Javita Shepherd.
Yep.
And Manna, co-produced and song, Thomas Warren Jr., executive producer, AV, the author, producer, Shanice Marvin Sapp, the Williams Brothers, Vicky Winans, and Men of Standard, Keys Southampton, okay, Gospel Explosion, producer Teddy Riley, Birthday Bash 1999, Rodney Jerkins, Birthday Bash Celebration 2000, JT Taylor, former lead singer of Kool and the Gang.
Yeah.
Keys, Sandra Reeves Phillips. Keys, Kurt Carr and Kurt Carr singers. Organ Auxiliary, I believe. And Graf from Love and Hip Hop New York. Keys.
Yes. Thank you.
And there's more, but I can't read because we're going to be here all day.
I can't even remember
Sir.
the ones that you talked about.
He said it's so many. How did this happen? Who is Teddie FX Rollins?
Okay. I am just a simple Queens boy, straight from growing up from, well, my parents was from church. I grew up in church. I was a drummer. I was this little small young choir director. They used to get this little box for me to stand on so I can direct the choir.
Wait, how old were you?
I had to be about 5 years old.
Not directing the choir at 5?
Yeah, 5 years old I was directing the choir.
Wait a minute, okay.
Yeah, I was right on that little box. They would bring it out. I would stand on it and I would direct. And I would have this little silky white suit on all the time. I remember that. Oh man, that was so funny. But my family's musically inclined. A lot of singers, musicians. So from there, I just ended up learning how to play.
Wow.
First instrument was drums, to keyboards, to bass, guitar, and then moved on from there.
That is dope. Not the little box though.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Wow. Listen, that is an example of don't shut your children out. You understand what I'm saying?
that's
Because I
true.
see that a lot. Parents be just like, well, he's only such and such age, he can't. No, he absolutely can if you let him.
Oh, yeah.
You have to nurture that. So pay attention to your children.
No, definitely.
Thank you so much for saying that. So your parents were pastors?
So my mother, she was the assistant pastor.
Okay.
My uncle was the actual lead pastor. My father was the deacon of the church.
Okay.
Then of course I have my cousins and aunts and everybody. All my uncles, they were all pastors of some form of church, or a singer or a producer of somebody. So that's how I ended up being around that music era.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Wow. I love this. All right, so thank you for that. When it comes to the music, is so much going on, and as you know, the accolades were being read, you know, you dip into different genres. Like, how did you, was the church like initially the thing that people ended up knowing you for, and so you were able to tap into different genres? How did you come to do all of that?
So, well, honestly, my first love, of course, was gospel music, growing up in church. But of course, being at home, we listened to all type of music.
Right.
Soul music. My father used to play music from Al Green to, Aretha Franklin. But you take it back, Mahalia Jackson, the Caravans. Yes. Then we started playing the Jacksons, Michael Jackson. I grew up loving New Edition and all these different artists.
Right.
Then I also went to artists like Air Supply and Jimi Hendrix and stuff, artists like that.
So you're eclectic.
Yeah, so just being around that. And then I would sit on I had a little Casio keyboard at home, and I used to listen to the radio. And I would sit there and figure the music out and start playing it. Yeah. So I used that when I was in church and just started playing. And from there, it eventually led me, being around the right people, led me to venture out and start playing for different artists.
Love that. Because I'm always trying to, you know, have the guests express how important community and your surroundings is. Like, kind of tap into that a little bit when it comes to how you got into these doors.
So one of the biggest things is about being there at the right time, at the right place, right? But besides that, you have to have, one, self-respect. You have to respect others, because the music business is big but yet small, right? If you come in there and you're a cocky person, you know, you're not going to get a certain gig or a certain show or something like that because of the way you act or the way you treat other people.
Right.
Your personality can carry you a long way. Not only talent, but your personality, the way you are, the way you interact with people.
Right.
That carries a long way. Gotcha. It speaks volumes for the things that you do. And that's what happened with me. I was just there at the time. I was actually a roadie. So my first artist I started playing with was East Coast Regional Mass. And this was a big major choir with John P. Key and all these people. And I just graduated from college and I started traveling. That was my first traveling. And that was so much fun. You know, being young, traveling, doing things like that. And then eventually I moved over to where I started playing for this gospel artist, Danny Eason. And my cousin, he was the MD for Hezekiah Walker. So I was his roadie.
Tell them what MD is.
So MD is the musical director. So he was the musical director for a lot of the albums that Hezekiah Walker did. And I used to pack his instruments up and carry it. But by doing that, I listened, I watched, I learned, and I ingested all of that, all those things that he did, what other musicians did. And I would watch not only the musicians, I watched the director, I would watch the sound engineer, watch the light people, the producers in the studio. I watched all that. And then what I would do, I was curious, so I would go home and learn it. I would just practice it.
Love this. I mean, you have to understand the biggest thing he's basically saying, he was in place.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing. You have to be out there, put yourself out there. The gifts are for a reason. You know what I'm saying? God gave us these things for a reason. That's why it's called a gift, to give to the world. So thank you so much for sharing that. I hope that encouraged somebody. So even like you've been surrounded by music because even your wife sings. So tell us about that. Like, how'd you guys meet and how did this go?
So she's a singer, soprano singer. She sings everything, but she's a soprano singer. I met her with Playing with Love Fellowship with Hezekiah Walker. She was a soprano there, and we met, and it was like best friends, and then all of a sudden went from best friends to dating to not wanting to get married, but then we eventually ended up wanting to get married.
Wow.
And
don't gloss over that,
We've been right there. We've been locked in.
I need you to not gloss over that because I want people to understand marriage is beautiful.
Oh, yes.
It's so much craziness, especially social media. I'm so over it. That's why I just block a lot of pages and I can't consume that because we know marriage comes from God.
Yes.
So can you kind of tap into, because this is real, can you kind of tap into how you guys went from not wanting to be married to God, like, no, this is your person? So
I'm going to take it back a little bit more. So this is our second marriage, right?
Okay.
So we were both originally married, and things just, of course, in life, things doesn't work out.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things I think that brought us together because we were both dealing with certain things and our own separate things and our own separate marriages, and we ended up growing more together. After you have a first marriage, nobody really wants to get married again. You're like, I think I want to leave that alone.
Right.
But eventually, God was like, no, this is the actual person for you. And we ended up we got married. And when we got married, it wasn't just something where we got married and you know how people walk into a marriage and they start fighting, or there's always something that, it was none of that.
I love that.
It was just great. So, and with her talent, because one, she's a chef, and she's just not everyday chef. She's an actual professional chef.
Right.
So she's a singer, and she's sung on a bunch of different albums and traveled all over the world. She's also has her own business called, sorry, I won't plug it, but Sakai 2 Catering and Events.
Let's go, Jay.
She does professional events, like I'm talking about corporate events, weddings, all this stuff. So just having her being gifted, doing that, but yet also maintaining, making sure that I'm good, making sure our kids are good. All our kids are grown out the house now.
Right.
Amen to that. Yeah, we got something to that.
He said it's an empty nest. Let's go.
But she has been that superwoman to maintain everything when it comes to the household. It wasn't where like, okay, I'm going to run my career and forget about my home. No, she made sure everything is good and it falls in line. So my job was to make sure everybody's together.
Right.
So as long as I cover my family, make sure everybody's good and stuff like that, and she covers it, we work hand in hand.
Listen, God will send you
Yeah.
who you need in His timing.
Yes.
Please, sir, please, man, understand that. Stop listening to social media because they make it's just so bad. Thank you so much for that because, people want to be loved and people want to have that partnership and be safe in that relationship. So thank you for allowing people to understand it is possible.
No,
but one, you got to be open.
You have to be open.
Yeah.
One of the things I would say is this, and I think this may tie into what we just talking about, music and marriage.
Yeah.
So like for me, I'm gospel. I've done traveled gospel. I've done traveled with the R&B. I toured. I've done all that. And some people wonder, well, how do you be a tour musician or do certain things, but yet still have a marriage, or or let's say live right.
That part. Right.
The good thing about it is my wife is my best friend.
Yes.
So she knows everything about me. She understands when there's groupies out there and things like that. She's not that person that gets jealous and be like, "Arr." But she knows, hey, don't step over the line.
Go ahead and tell it. I know his wife. Okay?
Yeah, yes. So So it's that, and I respect that. And then other people, the smart people, they understand. We understand it and we love that.
I love this. I love this. It can be done.
Yes,
Music
it can.
and marriage. I think I'm going to have to call this episode Music and Marriage. I love this. I love this. So, and you guys also have children, like you said.
Yes.
So even with that, wait, you only have children together?
No.
Or you have from the marriage?
From my previous marriage. So I have 2 girls. She has a boy and a girl.
Okay.
But it's all ours, right?
Yes.
We have 4 kids together.
Okay, awesome.
They all went to college. They graduated from college. They out the house. They got their own places. And now we have grandchildren.
Yes, y'all do.
Yes, we have 3 beautiful grandkids. We have
goodness.
2 boys and 1 girl, and they just beautiful.
I love it.
Spoil them and send them home.
I know that's a fact, that part. So when it comes to, going in and out or, just following your dreams, just your passion for music, have you ever gotten like backlash connected to, being from gospel, but then tapping into soul and jazz and, R&B? Have you ever gotten like backlash being from the church? Sometimes church can be judgmental.
It can be. Now, but what's interesting? The judgmental part, and it's weird I say, the judgmental part was never in the world part. When I went into secular music and R&B and funk and stuff like that, never got that type of judgmental thing. It was always like, oh, you know how to play the church music, and we actually incorporated that. When I played with J.T. Taylor and we did a show, and one of the biggest Kool and the Gang songs is called "Celebrate."
Yes,
Everybody love that song. We did this song at the Hennessy Fest. The Hennessy Fest. It's nothing but people that drink Hennessy, right? So, and this was in Tennessee. He somehow broke down a song and went straight into a church song.
Oh, wow.
And we're going into this with no problem. And the people got their liquor in their hand,
enjoying themselves.
And they're singing music.
Wow.
But when I'm in the church, I'm getting all type of,
right.
Why you playing for the world? Why you doing this? You shouldn't be doing that. If you love God, you should be in the church. And, it was just like, I never understood why I would get that in the church when we supposed to be like Christ. Love people no matter what, not judge. I would receive that in church, but not in the world.
So how do you navigate, loving what you do, knowing from that little box as a little boy, directing a choir, like, I know this gift is from God. I know I'm supposed to be utilizing this gift. How do you get through that, the hurt?
Okay, so there's a couple of things, a couple of ways of how I got through that. One, you have to be talking to the right people. You have to have, like, for example, I have like some pastors who I'm very comfortable to talk with, and they're well-based when I talk about knowing the scripture, but not only the scripture side, but the human side. So they're able to talk to me from both aspects, right? But yet also, doing that, I did my own studies. I had to read the Bible for myself. I had to read other books to just understand that I have a gift.
Right.
I am somebody.
Yeah.
And that God don't make no fool.
Come on, sir.
So for me to sit there and just, I guess you would say, just sit back and be under the covers and soak and sob about that and be depressed about all this, it didn't make no sense, because if I did that, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Well, hello in here.
So you have to take, I took a lot of time and just reevaluated myself, been around, spoke to the right people, and I did a lot of studies.
Love that,
and that just kept me focused.
Listen, what they say, faith without works is dead.
Correct.
Okay.
Very much.
We perish due to the lack of knowledge.
Yes.
We can plug a bunch of inserts on that part right there,
yes,
for sure.
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
For sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, you were saying that you no longer do music full time.
So all right, it's not because didn't want to, I still get to do music.
Right.
That's the great thing. So right now I'm a VP at for a bank in IT.
Okay.
It's a beautiful thing because
shout out to IT.
Yeah, that was my second major in college.
Oh, nice.
And so I was like, wow. My mother always taught me that I need to have two things: one that I want to do and something to fall back on.
Come on, mama, with the bars.
That's exactly what happened.
I love this.
So I'm doing VP, but what happened was I got more into the field because my kids was growing up. And okay, maybe I was being selfish, but not very selfish. I could not see someone else raising my kids.
Wait,
when I'm
what is that?
responsible to raise my own kids.
Explain that, please.
So what I mean by that is this. There's nothing wrong with having, like, say if another man is raising my kids. Like, say
you mean like physically in your home?
Yeah, physically in the home.
Okay.
So, like, so if you separate from another person, your old ex-spouse or ex-wife or something like that, and you have kids, the thing is, it doesn't mean that you divorce your kids.
Come on.
It means that you still have a responsibility.
Okay.
So my thing was, okay, I can stay on tour, do that and be big and get bigger, and miss out on everything. My girls are going, and these were girls.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I came off tour. I struggled in the beginning, but I got me regular jobs until I got to this place. But I've been at school events. I've been at all type of trips. I've been at graduations, prom, whatever they needed me, I was there for.
Yeah.
And I was there because I was like, okay, I want to take a back pedal because I need to raise the next generation, and that's what I did, And then when we got married, then I incorporated 2 more children, right? So now I'm raising 4 children, but yet it still didn't stop me from doing music.
Come on, sir.
See, some people feel like, okay, I can't do the other thing that I love to do because I gotta always stay here. No, you can do both.
Yeah.
There's time management, but before you do all that stuff, you gotta pray about what you want.
Well, I knew it was coming.
Once you pray about it, once you really pray about it and not be selfish, but pray about it and speak to God. People always say, oh, you gotta say thou art and all. No, just be yourself. Be genuine. Be genuine. Speak to God.
He knows your heart anyway.
Exactly. You pray about it. You see the vision.
Yeah.
You write it down and make it plain. And then you action on it. There was one of these preachers that used to say that God already knows what your future holds, right? And he already set it for you. Now, you have to work the middle. You work the middle, you'll be able to get to that next part. Some people feel like it's easy. It's easy, like you should just have it. No, it's not easy.
Right.
You want more, it's going to be more issues, more problems. And of course, that came along with it. Did I ever want to give up? Yes.
Right.
Always wanted to give up. But did it stop me? No. Because I saw the bigger picture.
Yeah.
At the end of the road, I had to make sure my children knew they had a father there. And that's what I did.
I love this. Come on, Dad.
So, yeah.
So, thank you for saying that because that is connected to, the theme of this series, which is Men Where Art Thou series. Make sure, like I said, subscribe and check out series 1 and 2, but we are in 3. He is my 3rd guest in the Men Where Art Thou series 3. I really wanted you to tap into a lot of the things that the men are going through right now.
Oh, man.
Like, it just seems
what are we not going through?
It is right. It just seems like you guys need not just a safe space, but you need guidance and direction. Okay. But I want to emphasize godly direction. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, when it comes to the atmosphere of our men, like, what are your thoughts and what advice can you give them connected to, the mental health, being a dad? Because that was a bar, which you just shared. Yes. And a lot of times I feel like, and there's nothing against the men, because the men know which men I'm talking to. But I find a lot of times when I'm conversing with certain men about things, especially with fatherhood, there's a lot of excuses.
Oh, yeah.
You pushed through that, and you had to make conscious decisions, even when you couldn't see it at the moment. So what do you say to the men who, for whatever reasons, has an issue with being hands-on with their children and or, getting over that hump of depression?
Okay. So one of the things you talked about, men going through a lot of things. We have a lot of issues. And what I mean, well, issues meaning the things that we go through everyday life. Yeah. Okay, being one. I mean, not a race thing, but being a black man in the world, okay? Yeah, it's there. But, you know, trying to be nice about it. But, you know, being a black man, okay? A lot of times the men grow up in single families, homes, but they make that an excuse. Right. You know, because there's plenty of mothers that have raised young men to be men. Now, I do have a thing that, you know, a woman, I feel like can't be a man, but can actually help nurture a man to be that way. Now, when I hear certain men say things like, oh, I didn't have this or that to get to there, I look at it as some excuses. Right. What I mean by that, some excuses, is that there are people that's been in, I call it, in certain situations where they've been homeless and have stopped from being homeless because they kept pushing. Right. So what I say is this, the mental stress that can happen, some people may not have the mental capabilities of staying strong enough to succeed and keep growing. So what I say to how to deal with that is don't be ashamed to get help, okay? And what I mean by that is that some people get scared of the Bible, right? Because the Bible talks about old stuff, old times and before Christ and after Christ. But there are parts and scriptures in the Bible that can help you mentally by overcoming that. Yeah. A lot of people take the mistakes that the man makes, or when I mean man, I mean the pastors. There are some pastors that make mistakes, but you got to understand they're human. So you can't just go to church and listen and follow what they do, and then when they mess up, you think, oh, I don't need to go to church because they're human, just like anybody else. You're not following that. You're following God's word. Right. And when you figure that out and you really want something for yourself, you're going to do everything in your power to get to that point. I don't care if it's sitting up at night times, even if you worked a double shift. It's sitting up at night times and read a book just to understand, okay, what's my next step to get to this next level? Yeah. You know, if I know my job is paying me $250 a week, but I know I got to pay rent $1,000 a month, there's no way. Right. So now I know I got to do this. How do I do it? Do I sit and grovel and just sit in the house and not do, just sit there and wait for something to pop in my hand? Or do I go out and do something? Right. You have to stay focused. You have to read booklets. I say talk to somebody. You know, my thing is more prayer. Right. My thing is more prayer. Right. And that's what got me to where I am. Prayer, faith, and believing. Yeah. Right? But some people, it may not be that. It may not be that path. It may be more of, faith, and maybe more classes. You know, there's free classes out here to help you mentally, help you get through situations. You know, they have the free classes where you can sit and talk to therapists about things. You know, you can sit with a pastor, or you can sit with the actual therapist that's has a certificate or a degree in this. Right. You know, and you don't have to pay for these classes. Right. So, but I think that taking this as an excuse of saying I can't do this because of my past or what I've been through, I feel like some people are using it as an excuse because they just want somebody to hand it to them. But how do you help the next generation if you don't get off your butt and start doing it? Ah, for sure. So, Well, yeah, thank you for saying that for sure. So, I was saying to a few of the gentlemen, I was sharing that the reason why I started this series is because I saw 2 black men commit suicide on live, and I was devastated. Yeah. I was confused. I was hurt. Yeah. I'm a boy mom. I got only brothers, like bunch of boy cousins. I was thrown off. And one of the issues connected to them doing that was a woman. Wow. They had children. One was like, he cheated or whatever, decided to move on, got another woman pregnant. He killed her, and then he came to the wife's house blaming her for everything. And then he's like, I'm about to kill her, and then I'm going to take my own life. And you hear him in a video literally say when she comes out the door, she's like standing there. He goes, oh, there she goes. And then he chases her. And I kept hearing for like a month in my dreams, I kept hearing, today is the day. Because that's what he said before the live went off.
But I was like, something's happening. Like something is happening because, no offense, we don't usually do that. You know what I'm saying? Our men don't usually take their own lives. So I'm like, what is your thoughts connected to, suicide and the demonic issue of that?
I like that word. So people don't believe in it all the time, but I feel like it's a spiritual thing, a demonic spiritual warfare. It's because, like you said, us people, we're not talking about committing suicide.
Yeah.
We're not. We may act stupid and do other things, but we're not going to commit suicide. Killing ourselves?
Yeah, that was different.
No, not even trying to fight our parents or anything like that. That wasn't our thing. But I feel like social media now has changed a lot of people's mentalities. We didn't have what we have, internets like everybody has now, but I think that a lot of social media has changed the way people think, the way they feel. I feel like also there's a spiritual thing. There's a demonic spirit that's out there that's like, hey, when you're talking to somebody and you start hearing this voice in your head and it's telling you, you know what, I'm tired of life. It's better that I jump off the roof of a building or off a bridge. It's just, that's a spirit. Right. I feel like that's a spirit. And this is where, for me, I say prayer comes in. And if you don't know how to pray and you don't believe in prayer, then that's when it's time for your close friends or family to get involved. Yeah. I noticed that a lot of some people, like some friends or if they're your friends, they don't really get involved. They laugh about it. Yeah. They crack jokes about people saying, one thing about us men, we don't know how to show emotion around the men like we want to. Like if we're around our brothers, we may talk, we may laugh, but truly discuss how we feel. Like, we feel like ending our life, or we feel like life is not worth living, or, I don't know what to do with stuff, or just cry. Right. We won't do that around the men, but now there's a core of people now that's changing that. Yeah. There's a core of black people that's changing that now, getting together and saying, you know what? We're not going to do this. Right. We're not going to suffer. We're not going to let our brother die. Yeah. And we're getting together and we're stopping that. We're praying. Yeah. Like, for example, I started a group. It's called the Brotherhood Group, where we get together. It's even if it's bowling, if it's on Zoom, if it's just something. And we discuss. Love this. We talk about everyday things. It may be stuff that we're dealing with our families. It may be things we're dealing with at our jobs. We pray. Love this. We laugh. We actually cry. It's funny, you say you like men crying. Yeah, but we do. We go through that. Hashtags, but it stays in there. Yeah. And we don't. It's safe. It's safe. We don't discuss it out there with anyone else because you need to feel comfortable. Yeah. And you can't have nobody come in and not feel comfortable. Right. So I think it's a demonic thing, and you need help, and you need people to be around you. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, because we're always talking about, community and, the people around you, how they affect you, Yeah. It breeds energy. When you have the wrong people around you, you're going to start acting weird. Or when you have positive people around you, you'll begin to feel more positive. So, be mindful of your surroundings and the people that you choose, to have access to you. So, thank you so much for sharing that. And please let us know. I definitely want the information for that group. Yes. Some men definitely came to mind. So I truly appreciate you answering the call, because that's not something you just wake up and like, I'm going to just do this. And, and let me say this, just to piggyback off of that. I think one of the things that is very vital when it comes to healing in our community is people being consistent. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I'm starting this, and then they fall off, and you don't know who was attached to that and who was excited for it and who was ready to share, and now they're not because you fell off or you had a moment and it was trendy or whatever the case may be. It wasn't God. You understand what I'm saying? And this is why you have to have your brothers or someone that's holds you accountable for that thing. Like because some people are not that strong. Right. So if you have a brotherhood or just, it could be even a sisterhood. It's just people that's pushing you to keep you accountable for those things that you keep speaking about. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that, for sure. We're definitely going to share that. When it comes to the industry, right? I'm tapping back in. Pray for a sister. When it comes to the industry,
You know, what is your advice to those who are tapping in because it's so different now? There's so much going on. Even the gospel industry, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that how can I say this? Because I like to get my words correct. There's a shifting that has you like, is that or is that not that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, are you talking about the styles of, like, for example, gospel? You mean if you look at gospel artists and you see, are they gospel or are they actually something else?
Yeah, like I ain't gonna hold you. Let me use an example.
Yeah, just say it.
Let me use an example. I don't remember who it was, but I was on social media and someone was singing. It was playing while I was walking around the house. And it was a type of energy with the song to where I got confused until they actually said Jesus.
So you heard the words. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like this. Oh, wait, what? I was like, wait, what? So I started laughing, but then I felt a little weird. I'm like, I don't know what that was. Does that make any sense?
No,
because we know in the Bible, God has shown us, you know, it was the heart of the man that changed. Not Pharaoh. It was another king that, you know, was sent and he had dreams or whatever the case may be, but the man played the spirits out of him.
Right.
So it was the heart of the musician. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, you know, what is your advice when it comes to people newly tapping into music, you know, whatever the age and whatever the genre, like what is your advice to hang in there?
Okay.
And be, you know, I'm about to tell you what to say.
Well, one, you said it. You have to have the heart to do it.
Right.
Okay. The gift, the talents, all of that is great, right? Because the ear, the people will hear that and love it. They'll vibe to it. But if your heart is not truly into it and you're only there for the money, it comes through your music. It comes through your lyrics.
Well,
so that's what happens. Now, if you coming out there and say, you know what, I need to go make this single because I need to make such and such amount of money, and it has no feel in the lyrics, no feel in the way they're singing, or even a writer, the way they word everything. It doesn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you hear these one-hit wonders, and you're like, okay, it was nice, but it wasn't no feel.
Yeah.
For example, Mary J. Blige for R&B.
Okay.
She's a mega star because her songs meant something. It's because somebody always been through something, or she's been through it, and everybody can relate to it, right? It was feeling. It was a heart put into there.
Right.
You go into gospel music, you have people like Karen Clark Shears. You know, she's a powerful singer.
Yeah.
But when she sings, you feel it.
Absolutely.
You feel it. And compared to hearing somebody get up there and just want to sing because they want to make money, you know, it's not always about your gift. It's about your heart. And if you have the heart, you can accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about something else, like you couldn't tell if it was gospel until they started to the lyrics. Now, one of the things, I'm hearing this a lot. I'm hearing this all over. I'm hearing a lot of people saying that gospel people should stay gospel. Everything should stay gospel because you should not be of the world, right? And which I agree, right? However, now to me, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong with this, but I feel this: pastors are in the pulpit every Sunday preaching to the same person. Every day, when there's a bunch of souls out in the street that don't know Christ or was hurt, church hurt. So why not have such gospel artists create songs that sound like that and still have a strong message to bring them to Christ? Because didn't Jesus go out and around the people that was doing all this stuff and still, but nobody has a problem with that. Like, he went there to go reach the people. So I look at it as there are some gospel artists that's taking songs, as long as as long as it's not derogatory or anything that's like negative, but it's still talking about love and about God and how to do it. The beat, to me, because there's trap gospel music out.
No, I know.
And I'm loving it, actually, because I'm like, yay. But, you know, the thing is, it's about the message. It's about winning souls that's out there, because just preaching to the same church folks every day, you're helping them.
You're like, what's the
but
difference?
There's more people out there. I always thought that the point of being a Christian was to win souls for Christ, right? And you to be the light, right? For what you do, other people will see what you do. They will want to come in and say, you know what? I like what you're doing. I see what you're doing. What is it that you're doing that's making you so happy, or you're able to do these things? And when they see that, they want to be a part.
Right.
You know, those are things. So I look at it as I have no problems when I see these gospel artists do R&B songs or do songs with R&B artists, right? Because a lot of R&B artists came from church.
Oh, for sure.
It's just they went out there because they was either making more money or they was being loved more.
Whoa, wait, what? Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. Tap into that one. We always think it's just the money.
Yeah, no.
But tap into that.
I'm not putting the church down. I grew up in church. I love church. And churches to me is called a hospital. Right. Church to me is a hospital. I call it a hospital because it's a bunch of sick people that come together that need healing. It's either mentally or physically, right? And then when they come in, they fellowship together with other like-minded people. But the thing is, some churches, not all churches. Let's say that again. Some churches have this mentality to judge people and make people feel bad, where no one wants to deal with church no more, or they want to deal with church people. So if they can go out in the world, use their gift in the world, and be loved and liked, and make a lot of money,
they feel like they want it.
Yeah. You know, like this preacher said, okay, well, the devil makes everything look glorious and beautiful and stuff like that, but it's really not beautiful, right? But at the end of the day, it's a way you balance yourself. You can still do secular music and still love Christ and honor Him. You know, because there's people that go out there and sing R&B music, or rappers and stuff like that's doing things. They're not using drugs. They're not drinking. But the fact is, they're doing their music and they're making money. And at the end of the day, they're coming right to church on Sunday or paying their tithes, right?
Okay.
You know, my thing is, okay, you don't mind me out there singing and doing R&B song or a love song out there, as long as my tithing is coming into the church. You know, so these are different reasons.
Say out somebody.
Yeah, but you know, but these are the fears and the reasons why black folks, or just any people in general, decide to stop going to church or having faith. You know, but gospel music is meant to heal. It's meant to ease the soul and change your mindset on things like that. You know, because if you talking back to the mental breakdowns and mental issues, you know, when you listen to music changes your mindset.
Everything,
so if you listen to the right song,
it's healing.
Yeah, you know, so that's why, like, for me, I don't listen to anything that's negative, like, you know, death songs or song. You know, they have these rappers that's doing songs about, you know, killing this person, killing that thing, or, you know, popping pills and stuff like that. If you listen to that all the time, that's going to mess with your mental. For sure. And then that's all you're going to think of. But if you start thinking of listening to other songs that's uplifting, stuff that's encouraging you, you're going to start thinking that way.
Absolutely. So, you know, thank you for sharing that, because even with you know, bringing up Mary, it's in everything, it's in moderation, and in everything you have to use wisdom. If you know you have issues with lust, and you know that sexual demon is taking over you, you don't need to be listening to these songs that talk about sex.
No, because
you know, the end. You know what I'm saying? We have to use wisdom and be real. We have to be honest with ourselves.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So even when it comes to, you know, certain type of, you know, gospel music, it's certain artists, you know, they're known for not sticking to the word. And you're trying to get God right now, that probably may not be the artist you need to be listening to. You need to be listening to somebody who you know gonna have you crying and feeling convicted about where you are and keeping you in your word, because they're singing about the word. Right. So, you know, it has to be something personal. That's my point. It has to be personal, and you have to know yourself and be real with yourself about what you need and the relationship you want to have with God through music. Because at the end of the day, the musicians, it what brings in the Holy Spirit. They start the service for a reason. You know, it's the musicians and the psalmists that went forth. You know, in the Bible, they went first. You know, when it came to war and all these different things, they set the atmosphere. They brought the strength. They had the heavens bombarded, you know, spiritually.
No, exactly.
So you have to just know yourself and know what you need and know what you desire. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
So, you know, thank you for that. Teddie, we could be here all day, man. I'm so in awe of you. I need you to tap into this music that I keep listening to every day.
Okay.
Your tracks.
Well, let's see. Which
Y'all gotta
one?
download. Y'all gotta download.
I got you. So
Let's go.
I know you like Father Forgive.
I love Father Forgive.
You know what? I can tell you something. You know how Father Forgive came about? The 7 last sayings.
Oh, explain that.
The 7 last sayings.
Wow.
What happened was I was in a service, and you know how those 7 last saying services on Good Friday, and God just led me to start writing lyrics to each of the 7 last sayings. And one of them was Father Forgive, for he knows not what he do, right? And I had called some of my friends, and they came and helped me. They sung on it. I had a couple of my musicians, and that was actually, I believe, my first single as an artist. That was my first song I actually put out. And what's amazing, now you love the strings on there?
I love everything.
Well, I'm gonna tell you about these strings. It was a quartet of string players that was in Penn Station. I used to go to work every day, and I would hear the stringers. I'm like, man, they sound so good. One day, I just happened to walk up to them, and I was like listening to them, and I talked to one of them. I said, hey, do y'all record? They was like, yeah, we do. They gave me a card, and it was like, okay. I'm thinking, you know, you get a card.
Yeah, you keep it pushing.
Yeah. I called them, and I told them what I had. I let them hear my demo for it, and instantly, they was like, oh, no, we got something for you. And they came in and they laced that song. Then I did the video. After that, we did the video. And I mean, it was like, we did the video in January in the winter. So we was at the park freezing. We was like, ooh, but we did it. But the song was powerful because we got it from the 7 Last Sayings. I did that song. And what's interesting is I have a new song dropping.
I know.
Very soon.
That was me putting that plug in. Y'all saw how I did that?
I have a new song dropping, and it's actually from the 7 Last Sayings.
Come on, sir.
It's called It Is Finished.
It is finished.
Yep. So that's more the choir style. This is more for the choir. Okay. The next, I'm actually almost finished with my album. Actually, my album consists of. This is the vision. Imagine you, and it's interesting, but you hanging out Saturday night. Okay. After you hung out with your friends and you in the car and you playing your music, so you got music for that. Okay. To where you getting up Sunday morning into your worship. Okay. And you hear your worship to where you now enter into the church and you hear the old school choir singing. That's what It Is Finished is about, that old school choir feel.
Love this.
To where after you finish service and now it's ready for the soul food dinner and eating time, so you're gonna play some other music for the family, you know, to step in and all that type of stuff, having a good time, to where, you know, the young people want to hear something different. So I have something for every genre.
I love this, Teddie. Come on, sir.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop music. That's
I love this. I freaking love this. Let's go. Listen, y'all have to download. Listen, I literally play that in my car every day when I get in.
Yes.
That's what's up. I promise you. I'm not saying that to entertain him because I don't have to. I know I keep it tall with everything. I don't have to say that. I promise you I do. I love that song.
Well,
I love that song. All the ones I've heard so far, I'll just be like, this Teddie joint. Like, I'll be like proud, like a proud mom.
Oh, no.
I'm like, Teddie out here killing it. Let's go, sir. Let's go.
Well, y'all don't know. I don't know if y'all know she sings.
Yeah, so whatever he
No, because you interviewed me. She actually sings. So no, if you don't know that, she actually sings because we used to do a song at a church together.
We did.
Yeah, she didn't want to sing, but you know, we got her singing.
I'm like, we did. Yeah. Listen, divine connections. That's what I would say because look at God. Look at what He's done thus far. Yes. You know, from us being introduced, you know, through that place and. I'm super excited for you. You know, I'm super proud of you. You know, I love you and your wife, your family, and, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. Definitely want to support with the Brotherhood program. I think that's amazing. And at such a time as this, very much needed. So, you know, just keep doing everything that God places on your heart to do. Well, that's my prayer for you.
We thank you for doing this.
Absolutely, absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for coming because I'm like, is he gonna come? I'm just gonna ask him. Like, listen, and see, Big energy. I said, I'm going to just ask. Sometimes you just got to jump out there and ask. The most person can say is no. And you move on, or you ask again, depending on what it is.
Right.
Because, I don't really accept no like that. you know what I'm saying? You got to go get it, okay? Go get it. You got to go get it. Go get your blessing.
Exactly.
For sure. But listen, thank you so much for coming. Anything you want to say to close us out? Anything on your heart? A book, a scripture, a quote, whatever you feel. Well,
I would say this. If you've been going through something in life, there are resources out there. Don't give up. If you got tired of church, that's fine. But there is prayer.
Yes.
There is a God. And no matter what religion you are, at the end of the day, you need some source to be able to mentally be able to be good, to physically be good. So I would say this, besides praying, take care of your health, take care of your mental, take care of your spiritual life, and take care of the people around you. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, besides only having you, you need somebody in your corner to be with you.
Absolutely.
And then at the end of that, if you ever want to get my music, definitely you can go to Teddie FX on Instagram. That's where I'm at. Also FX Rollins on Facebook, or Teddie FX second page on actual Facebook. But trust me, you get some of my music, it will bless your heart. It's something for everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. He gave the Instagram. He also has an email. You can give the email also.
Okay. Email is Teddie FX. FX, actually Frank X-Ray. So TeddieFX@gmail.com.
Yes, that was good, Frank X-Ray. Yes, for sure. But wait, before you go, where did Key and K come from?
That's easy. My daughters.
I love
Kiara.
it. I knew that.
So
I figured it out.
My daughters, Kiara and Kayla.
Love this.
So I'm so family oriented. I need to keep a family around me. And my daughters, honestly, God was the one that kept me from where I could have been. But my daughters helped change me around because I knew I needed them. So I use their name, Key and K Productions. So I have Key and K Productions, and then my wife has Sakai too. So she has for Xavier and Kai. So we took our children, we used their names to go ahead and create our businesses.
Love this. Make sure you check out Jay's business as well. Say the name again.
Sakai 2.
Let's go.
All right,
Sakai
Entertainment.
2.
Yep, her name is Jay Rollins. If you get on my page, you'll find her page.
Absolutely.
But definitely, if you want that soul food or you want that professional cooking, and she's a professional baker. She makes specialty cakes. So,
love this. Let's go.
Definitely.
It's the music and marriage for me.
Yes.
I love this. Come on, God. Listen, make sure you guys look into Teddie FX Rollins. Listen, this blessed my heart. If you received anything from this, please shout him out. Please email him, whatever you need to do to contact him, just to encourage him to keep doing what he is doing. Listen, sir, listen, man, make sure you subscribe to How Michael Lady She Podcast, where you will see this downloaded. You will see this added on to the to YouTube this week. But I thank you to everyone who came on tonight on the live. Make sure you tap the follow button. Make sure you share this for somebody. If you feel encouraged, because She's 3 E's is encourage, empower, and educate. So if any of the 3 hit home, share this. Send it to somebody who you love, who you're praying for, and who you are rooting for to win. Send it to somebody who needs to get closer with God. You understand? Because we need him right now. There's a lot going on. So, once again, thank you, Teddie, for coming on. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Make sure you don't forget the good stuff. Listen, she out here working as well. She is still moving. She rocking and rolling. She got kids to feed. Okay, let's get it. But listen, make sure you subscribe and support How Mike Lady She Podcast. We have the Men Wear Off Thou Series 3, and we also have the She Is My Shiro Series 3 as well, where we have the women coming forth with fire. Just like, listen, I don't know how y'all gonna be competing with these interviews, man. Like, it's going up, and I'm just excited about it. So tap in and send this stuff out to somebody who you know needs to hear and be reminded that God is real and God loves you. So, have a good night, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.